Well, folks, I got cut off suddenly in the last podcast, which happens now because my laptop is old, my system is in general old, and I am really old as well. So let's wrap up this flood article from Times of India, which is very useful. As I said, it's not peer reviewed, but they do a good job of collecting and providing these nice graphics. So it's providing some info on all the cities that will run through, and then we'll touch on another article that I mentioned from Times of India by Vaishnavi Chandrasekhar on Mumbai specifically, and see what point she makes very briefly. Delhi then, records show the Yamuna, which is a river in its backyard, floodplains. Yamuna floodplains lost 47% of their wetlands during the 1989-2019 period, while the built-up area increased by 55% between 2019 and 2021. An estimated 77,000 trees were cut down, marking a big loss of its green cover. So there are rules that for each tree you cut down, you have to plant 10 or so, but they are not in the same place. They are planted elsewhere. So even if it's done honestly and sincerely, it may not help the flood problem in the city where development is happening by chopping down trees. So if you look at the dense so this is a 122% jump in dense residential areas eating up farmland, crucial for percolation. So 1.4 crore to 1.4 crore to 3.5 crores in 2011 to 2025. That's the jump in dense residential area populations. Okay, in Mumbai, it's Mumbai's drainage system originally designed to handle 25 millimeter of rain per hour. 25 millimeter rain per hour, you know, it did happen at one point during the British era. Then was upgraded after the 2005 floods to carry 55 millimeters per hour. So this is rain per hour, 25 millimeters. But the rise in heavy rain days, 14 in 2023 and 21 in last year in 2024, rendered the current inadequate to handle the increased runoff. So let's make sure I'm not screwing this up in any way. Okay, so 1.2 crore to 2.3 crore, so populations, that is, you have to get used to it. So that is, let's say 14 million to 35 million, and this is 12 million to 23 million, and is expected to double again by 2040. But you know, population projections are always tricky. So green cover loss in Mumbai then, 29,260 acres in 1988 to just 16,814 hectares, that's hectares not acres, in 2018. Okay, severe loss. Chennai, a 2021 CAG report, as Auditor General of India, showed that 91% rise in slumps on water bodies from 235 in 2014 to 451 in 2018. At least 195 colonies were approved on 54 water bodies during the 1989 to 2016 period. Pallikaranai March shrank to 10% of its original 5,500 hectare, with garbage engulfing the rest of what remains. Okay, population from just about 500,000. So that's 4.6 million to 12 million from 2011 to 2025. It's become a very nice city to live in, Chennai, so people keep moving. When that happens, they are building metros, and quality of life is good, music, food, etc. Stormwater danger. So I still need coffee. Stormwater drainage, 900 kilometers, total road network 2,870 kilometer. I got a little stressed by that sudden cutoff. I had to wait 10 minutes till it finished converting it into a video to make sure it worked, and that can stress me out. Pune, a study by Advanced Center for Water Resources Development and Management, found about 400 million liters of groundwater lost to concreting and encroachments, which is over 3 lakh square kilometers in Pune and Pimpri Chinchwad. So there are districts and townships, and they used to be together. Somehow they are getting separated because population grows and so on. Population in fact has gone from 50 lakhs to 95 lakhs, so still relatively small. Stormwater drainage of 625 kilometers and total road networks of 4,144 kilometers, and it's now very famous for traffic jams. All the construction for the metros and growth is made Pune one of the worst for just being stuck in traffic. Bengaluru, of course, is notorious for its traffic jams and flooding. A 2017 study by the Indian Institute of Science found that 78% of the city had been paved over. It even estimated this layer of concrete and asphalt would cover 94% of the city by 2020, disrupting natural interconnectivity of water bodies. All small water channels have been built over. Used to be a city of lakes. Of course, a lot of them are lost, so it has gone from 834 in 2015 to just 300 in 2024, and the ones that remain are notorious for their weird problems, like just getting foamed up like a washing machine or so. Population has gone from 87.5 lakhs to 1.4 crores. So compared to Mumbai and Delhi, they are still small. Kolkata is not mentioned here, but still another city with dense populations. Ahmedabad, from 2011 to 2020, city's green cover reduced by 30.4 square kilometers, and its built-up area expanded by 87.4 square kilometer. According to a 2022 civic report, open spaces account for only 2.5% of the city's area. Its green and open space per capita is merely 1.5 square kilometer. Population has gone from 55.8 lakhs to 90.6 lakhs. Stormwater drainage 2015 to 16 was 923 kilometers. For 2024-25, it's grown to 980 kilometers, but hardly enough. And I have several podcasts and involved in papers which show that the Middle East warming, which is one of the most rapid warmings on land, is pulling the winds over the Arabian Sea and increasing floods over northwest India, including Gujarat, and of course Pakistan just got hammered. It's getting hammered every year since 2010, right? Hyderabad, loss of heritage step wells, some dating back to the Nizam era, and water bodies have cost the city over 150 of its 185 official lakes are encroached upon or polluted, with 30 having dried up already. Multi-crore high-rises may soon gobble up 300 unnotified lakes, which means they are not in the survey reports, or they get denotify and unnotify are some technical words that I won't get into. Population in 2011 was only 39.4 lakhs, but it has jumped almost 3 times to 1.1 crore by 2025. This is projected population as per the UN, but let's leave it there. Residential projects over 2015 to 2021, it's again new constructions during these years of 500 million square foot. Hyderabad is a nice city as well, growing like mad, so housing prices going up, housing developments going up, flooding problems getting worse. Let's look at a couple of case studies before we close out with a few words on Vaishnavi's article. Why every year Gurgaon dreads next skyfall. In 4 decades, Gurgaon has lost 389 water bodies, and large portions of the Yamuna's floodplains on which it stands have been built over. Several parts of the city are now in the path of floodwaters. Millennium City's dramatic economic growth has come at a steep cost in Gurgaon. Unregulated construction boom, skyrocketing real estate demand, and expanding infrastructure have obliterated water bodies and shrunk the channels. Together they make Gurgaon vulnerable to rain-induced flooding. Glaring shortcomings in its urban planning have been building up for half a century. Flooding in 2016 triggered a guru jam, bringing the city to a standstill for 20 hours. A similar gridlock occurred in May after the spell of rain. On July 10, local authorities said the city received 130 millimeters of rainfall in a 12-hour period ending 7 a.m. Same story once again. So we continue to have these issues. Former official with the Cabinet Secretariat and Gurgaon resident Kundan Lal Sharma said despite the heavy spending, the city's floods because Najafgarh stormwater drain, which flows into Yamuna through Delhi, handles only 15% of the runoff. The rest of it flows into our homes and streets. Catchment areas near Mullahera have been lost to plotted colonies. Traditional ponds or jonads have been encroached upon, he added. Johads, not jonads. Traditional ponds or johads. You can look it up. Also, the city has a gradient disadvantage. Rainwater from higher Aravalli hills drains into it quicker than the runoff is cleared by stormwater drains, which are below required capacity. Desilting and new drain constructions remain half done. So there is a little mountain range which is beautiful, but obviously it's now creating problems for Gurgaon. This year, Gurgaon identified 119 waterlogging prone spots, of which 23 are vulnerable. Police personnel now stand guard at night during downpours to manage emergencies. Sharma said solutions don't lie in just building drains. The government must revive water bodies and make rainwater harvesting compulsory. We'll see an info brochure on that in a minute. C.R. Babu, Professor Emeritus at Delhi University's Center for Environmental Management, said rampant destruction of natural drainage channels and encroachment on wetlands, as well as loss of Aravalli forest, which would slow down the runoff, have dismantled the region's ecological resilience, natural resilience. The second case study is Kolkata's flood control manual contains blueprint for others. Kolkata's flood control manual contains blueprints for others. I said Kolkata is not mentioned. That was then. Now it's being mentioned. 15 years ago, swathes of the city would flood during the monsoon, and civil defense volunteers would ride dinghies whenever rainfall crossed 40 millimeter in an hour. They would rescue Kolkatans marooned in the neighborhoods of Amherst Street, Sukeya Street and Muktarambu Street in North Kolkata, and Southern Avenue, so there are some streets in the south, until it began to change a decade ago. What happened? Steady investments in augmenting the drainage capacity and dredging of canals that carry stormwater have helped Kolkata manage deluges more effectively than other metros. A Kolkata Municipal Corporation official recalled a sharp spell last August when the city received 120 millimeter of rainfall in 3 hours. The stormwater receded in under 6 hours because of the drainage pumping situation, he said. There are at least 100 such stations now. The city has also preserved the East Kolkata wetlands, a Ramsar site that treats sewage naturally and soaks in rainwater. Ramsar sites are ecological sites under the Ramsar agreement that you can look up. The rupees 500 crore mission Nikashi, launched in 2009, was meant to mitigate waterlogging in North Kolkata. It was expanded to some South Kolkata localities as well. A decade ago, Kolkata had the capacity to drain 6 millimeter of rainfall in an hour. Now capacity has doubled to 12 millimeter per hour. Shantanu Ghosh, Director General, KMC Sewerage and Drainage Department, said that desilting underground sewer lines was key. Since 2020, KMC has spent 900 crore rupees to boost drainage capacity with around 20 lakh tons of silt removed. Very good move. The move worked, and residents of College Street or Bidhan Sarani felt the difference. These are neighborhoods that gives it a personal touch, but since we don't know them very well, and I'm not showing a map, you'll have to go look them up. We would take boats to buy essentials. Now we don't panic even in heavy rain. Amazing, right? Sayantani Basu, Bashu, I think, a resident of Alipur, said improved drainage has reduced fear of inundation, but areas of Behala, New Alipur, Garden Reach, and parts of Toliganj still need work, KMC officials said, adding that residents of these areas may have to brace for trouble this monsoon too. A drainage upgrade is on under the Kolkata Environment Improvement Project, so it's a good story here. Persistent waterlogging led to potholes and required crores of rupees to fix. Roads were redone to fix. Persistent waterlogging led potholes and required crores of rupees to fix. Roads were redone with mastic asphalt thrice in 10 years. So mastic asphalt, okay, thrice in 3 years. Now quick fixes suffice. So here is some story of flooding in Gurgaon again. This I've misplaced a little bit. Increasingly, Gurgaon tends to get gridlocked in heavy rains. People sitting on top of their car waiting for water to recede. In 2011, it was 10.4 lakhs. In 2025, it's 40 lakhs again. So population boom just never stops. So there is a bit more about Kolkata. Basically, pumping stations have been set up for the canals, and drainage channels are effectively moving excess stormwater as well. So that's a really positive story there. So this is the last one from this article on mega cities and mega floods. Rainwater harvesting. So 33% of India's water is recharged annually by rainwater harvesting, etc. Concrete option, rooftop runoff into the ground. I won't read the details here, but you can see the schematic. How it works: rainwater is collected from rooftops via gutters and downspouts into the storage tank, and it can then be treated and filtered for safe use in kitchens. So a lot of work can be done by using simple filters. I did this in my father's house, but of course now the house is sold and knocked off to rebuild a bigger building. Recharging of groundwater, of course. Recharge pits allow rainwater or surface water to infiltrate the ground, recharging groundwater aquifers in the process. They are typically 2 to 5 meter deep and filled with porous material, so you have filtering process like sand, pebble and stones, so that you catch all of the garbage before the water seeps into the groundwater aquifers. Okay, so the Vaishnavi's article here is more focused on Mumbai and the Mithi River that we mentioned in the previous article. Have we learned nothing 20 years after 2005 floods? Times of India travels along Mumbai's Mithi River. We are doing flooding of Mithi River as well in terms of trying to forecast flooding. After homes at Filterpara, Powai were flooded in 2005, the massive flood on 26 July, many were shifted to let the river be widened and walled. Treated sewage water is discharged here as part of rejuvenation efforts. So you can see a kid it's not a kid, it's some young person standing there, and you can see some informal and non-informal housing, and you can see some sandbagging here. You don't see much trash here, but you can be sure there's a lot of trash. She makes a lot of points. I'm not going to go into them, but Mithi project costs since 2005, 2199 crores have been spent. Additional 2,000 crore are planned, and if Mr. Bangar, Abhijit Bangar, that was mentioned before, what happened? Yeah, here he is. Then it's going to be amazing, because I met this young man. He's really, really on top of things as a 360-degree view of administration, policy, technical issues, forecasts, role of early warnings, and so on. Flooding is not just about desilting or retaining walls. It needs a fundamental shift in how we plan for future urban climate realities. We are trying to work with them, and hopefully we will succeed in making a positive contribution Journey of a river. So this graphic again very good. The Miti is a seasonal watercourse that springs from the overflow of Vihar Lake, which is right next to where I am sitting in the Indian Institute of Technology, and then it runs down 17.8 kilometers through the city past RA Colony, which is national park, through industrial Marol and Sakinaka, under the airport runway, around Bandra Kurla complex, very fancy new neighborhood, and out into Mahim Bay. I know all these places because I've lived in Mumbai for a while, but you can look them up as well. Okay, so there is Bihar Lake, Powai Lake, and IIT is right in the middle. And we have Filterpara Powai that is shown here, that got flooded in 2005. So the Powai STP, 8 million liters per day, I think the flow capacity. 7.7 kilometer down of 10.2 kilometer sewer line laid until Powai. 8.6 kilometer of new service road is completed, so you can look more carefully at that. JVLR is a recently built road that is easing some traffic congestion along the way, and 25 kilometer long mostly concrete wall built along the river for flood protection. So you can see that here, this is this one. 13 major nallas flow into the river. So here is a nalla. This is Marol Nalla. Airport is sitting here. Tunnel project to take sewer water to Dharavi plant, which is informal neighborhood in this place, Sakinaka, which is like a parking lot because of traffic jams. And here is Jarimari and Sakinaka. The second part of it here, 979 tenements along the river are removed. Only 746 are left, but displacing people is always tricky. You have to give them options. Even if they're illegal. Tidal reach is still here, so when high tide comes, water flows back. It's the tidal estuary. Kalina is here, SCLR, Scrapyard LBS Road, Vakola Nalla. So here is a nice view of the Nalla. Here is a nice vegetation buffer. Bandra Kurla complex has been built, the massive commercial complex with lots of international multinational companies up to 200 meter wide here, and here the Nalla is much less wide. Taximen's colony Kurla, desilting operations are under a cloud with allegations of a 65 crore rupee fraud being raised in the state assembly recently. So obviously corruption is a big part of life here as well. So I didn't really include many details, but there is a good story there in the sense that Mumbai has done very well in dealing with the floods since the 2005 disaster, which really got a lot of bad publicity for them, and they wanted to get away from that. And number of lives lost has been reduced. Early warnings are being used. Pumps are set up. Drainage systems, as we saw here. But obviously, the title of the article tells you that we are still working on making this completely flood resilient, climate resilient, weather ready, all those good things. Okay, these decisions are not easy because the old city already built up. You have to retrofit, you have to always worry about cost benefit analysis and just the feasibility of these things, and maintaining those structures you build, from garbage dumping and other illegal constructions and so on. So let's leave this here. Okay, very nice article from Times of India. Thank you, Times of India.